veterans, the VA Secretary, Doug Collins, his request to put a pause to BVA appeals, Board of Veterans Appeals, has been struck down, denied, nada, no go. In today's video, I'm going to give you some of my commentary as it pertains to this information and share this article with you because I want to get your thoughts on what was Doug thinking. Make sure you stick around. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Today's video. The VA Secretary, Doug Collins, he's at it again. He requested that BVA appeal claims be paused during the shutdown and was denied. So I'm going to share an article with you and give you some commentary. But before I do that, make sure you pick up your copy of my new book, The VA Compensation Blueprint. It's time to win. Now, when you go out to my Shopify store, make sure you input the code to get your discount. All right. You thought my first book was a game changer. Oh, this one is a game changer as well. So, Doug Collins, when he was first appointed and I heard some of his interviews, I'm like, okay, he's a military man. I think we're going to be good. I don't know what Doug is thinking. All right. As a former VA Raider, even when I went through my first furlough years ago, no one talked about pausing BVA claims. Now, a lot of you may not know what BVA, Board of Veterans Appeal, is. When you submit a claim, you get denied, or you feel you get denied service connection, or you feel you didn't get the correct percentage, or there's an incorrect effective date, you get three options. And those three options are listed in the VA notification letter. Okay, so when you get that document, it's going to be the notification letter and the rating decision. I actually have a video on this. What can you find in a notification letter? You got three options: supplemental claim, high-level review, and Board of Veterans Appeals. And that's what he's talking about. Hey, I want to put a pause to BVA claims. Are you serious? When you go to BVA, those are the longest wait times. Now, here recently, I've seen some veterans get a decision within 6 months at BVA, which is fast. But let's go ahead and get into this article, okay? Because I know I am going to get a lot of feedback. Judges reject VA Secretary's request to pause veterans claims appeals, okay? So a lot of you don't know what the VA Secretary looks like. He's the gentleman here with the glasses. That's him. That's Doug, all right? So it says the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims denied a request from the Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins to pause its work on veterans claim appeals during the government shutdown, okay? Now, not only do these BVA claims take extra time because these judges, they got a lot to look at, okay? It could be 5, 10 years plus of evidence that they're going through, if not more, all right? So imagine they pause it until the government figures out, hey, you know, we need to come up with a budget. We need to do this or we need to do that. And guess who's stuck in the middle? Veterans that are filing BVA claims. Now, it's important to understand, I'm not talking about supplemental claims or initial claims or new claims. They're not talking about putting a pause on those, just BVA claims, all right? It says a panel of judges denied a request for Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins to pause work of the court that handles appeals for veterans seeking disability compensation while the federal government is shut down. Says Collins on Monday asked the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims to stop the proceeding of nearly all cases on appeal. He said the department is set to run out of funds for the work after October 8th, and attorneys handling the claims don't meet the criteria for working during the shutdown. Okay, now, if these attorneys are VA employees, you already have individuals that didn't get paid last Friday. So guess what? Lawyers don't get paid. Yeah, they make more money. They don't get paid. They can still work. Just like that VSR, that's a GS9, probably making $50,000 a year, opposed to that lawyer is probably making over $150,000 a year. Oh, they're going to feel it opposed to that 50,000. It doesn't matter how much you're making, you're still not getting paid. All right. Says the court's 9-judge panel, led by Chief Judge Michael Allen, denied the request, calling it significant and extreme. All right. But let me know what you all think, because I can't figure out what made Doug think that this would be a good idea. All right. Secretary has failed to demonstrate that such sweeping relief is appropriate at this time, the judges wrote in a decision issued Wednesday. People, this is more the reason why you need to be educated on this process, understand it, how it impacts what you're doing, so you don't have to go to BVA. Because even without this pause, it's crazy. My first furlough, they furloughed the appeals department for 2 weeks, and then they brought them back and they paid them. Those appeal claims did not stop coming. And I had a friend of mine that worked in appeals, and I'm like, when he came back, I'm like, man, how bagged up are y'all? He was like, dude, it is bad. We already were backlogged 5 or 6 years, and this 2 weeks put us back not weeks, not months, but years. Okay. So they had to get caught up on the work that was already pending, and work was still coming in. So if they pause this, there's claims already on the books. There's veterans filing BVA claims. All right. And who knows when the government is going to open again. All right. So let's keep going here. Approval of the motion would have further delayed claims decision for veterans who have already waited years for answers, according to the Carter Templeton, an attorney for the University of Michigan School of Law. All right. That goes without saying. Essentially, every single case was going to be halted, and those cases were not going to be adjudicated, which means that veterans who have a case at the court and have benefits they're seeking at the court were going to essentially be paused. Now, what they're not talking about, more claims are coming in, because you have VSRs, RVSRs, and decision review officers still working. So imagine, let's just take one reason. Let's take all regional offices, and I'm just going to throw a number out there. And in 1 month's time, let's say they do 10,000 claims. Could be more than that. I'm just using that as an example. And out of those 10,000, you got half of those, 5,000, that are going to file a BVA appeal. Those are automatically going to be put on hold. All right. Good thing that the judges struck it down. Now, again, people, that 10,000 could be more. I just use that as an example. All right. It says in the department's request filed by VA General Counsel, the agency acknowledged that delaying these veterans cases due to a lack of resources is undesirable. This is the thing, people. Before I went to go work at the VA, I was in the private sector. And a lot of you may know about like Franklin Covey, Six Sigma, Starfleet TPM, process improvement methodologies. The VA has to get on board with this type of mentality, okay? They cannot keep operating like this. You already have individuals that were trained in the private sector when they worked for private companies before they came to the VA with this type of knowledge, okay? As a manager that worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies before I went to the VA, I was trained in a lot of these process improvement methodologies. Not once did the St. Petersburg regional office ever say, hey, let's tap into some of this knowledge and improve this process at our level. Doug, it's time for you to get your managers and your employees on board to improve this process. Trust me, if you did, you will lower the backlog. Okay. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. All right. It says, during the shutdown, which began October 1st, most federal employees were placed on furlough while others were others who are considered essential employees are working without pay. Okay, people, check this out. When I was furloughed, it was only for 2 weeks, and it was in the middle of pay period. We didn't know if we were going to get paid. Luckily, we did. Our minds were not totally focused on reviewing evidence, making sure we get the effective date right. Because, like everybody else, you're wondering, hey, what's going on? The government is shut down. Is this department open? Is that department open? Okay, so people are worried about, hey, how do I feed my family? I hadn't gotten paid. Okay, but nonetheless, federal government has to get this figured out. Okay. Okay. So I don't want to go any further, but I'll put this link. Um, I'll put this link in the description section so you can go back and check it out. All right. So I think that was a bad move by Doug. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. But it's just not this shutdown, in my opinion. Working as a former Raider, retired Raider now, there's things that they could have been doing years ago in previous administrations, okay? Not just the last administration, but over the last 10 to 15 years. Has the VA come a long way? Yes. But process improvement is slow, all right? Because you got all these managers running around with their head cut off, like, wait a minute, DC hadn't told me what to do. I got to wait on DC. I got to wait on DC. And now you want to put a pause on BVA appeals? Negative. Those individuals can be working without pay just like everybody else. Now, I know it sucks, but again, who's caught in the crosshairs? The veteran. Okay. So here's a nugget for you. Put a fire emoji in the comment section if you're still watching. If you submit a BVA claim, and this goes for VA employees that are veterans, you miss a car payment, you miss an electric bill, you get a notice, or you have to do ask for forgiveness on your car loan or whatever. Now you qualify for a hardship. Submit that along with your claim or your appeal all the way up to BVA. All right. Because you can get those expedited. So I have a video on hardship. Go to my channel, not YouTube, but go to youtube.com, go to my channel and just type in hardship. And that video will come up. You can see the references, the regulation to determine if you qualify. If you do, get your evidence and submit it along with the claim. Now, if your claim has already been submitted, put it on a 526CZ. And this is why. That's a prescribed claim form. They got to take action with it. You can say, hey, I'm doing an addendum and I'm requesting a hardship based on X, Y, and Z. That's the evidence. Okay. And you submit it along with the claim. But make sure you watch that video first. All right. With that being said, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.